Hello, everybody. Welcome to our session. Why do we fall ill? This is our third session. So, welcome to the session, everyone. So, what is health? Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being. So, health is when you're physically fit, mentally good, and also socially happy. So, you can't consider health is only when you're physically fit. So, all these three components make you healthy. What is disease? Any disturbance in the structure or function of any organ or part of the body. It may be caused due to the attack of pathogens like virus and bacteria, or lack of nutritious diet or balanced diet, or lack of public health services. So, you have a disease when there is any disturbance or there's any damage in your organ or any part of your body. And disease is caused by maybe the pathogens, some pathogens like virus or bacteria, or another reason could be that you're not eating nutritious food which is needed by your body, or maybe your public health or your health services nearby you are not provided. So now we learn about the types of disease. What are the types of disease? Diseases are basically of two types. They are acute disease and chronic disease. So we'll see what is acute disease first. Acute disease is the disease that lasts only for a short period of time. Example, flu, common cold, etc. So acute disease are those diseases that only stay in your body for a short period of time. It's that simple. For example, you can say a common cold, or you can say your flu, influenza, which only stay for a short period of time in your body. Next is chronic disease. Chronic disease is just the opposite of the acute disease. It stays for a longer period of time. For example, tuberculosis, cancer, etc. Now we'll see the difference between acute disease and chronic disease. Acute diseases stay for a short duration of time, while the chronic disease stays for a long duration of time. The acute disease, the patient recovers completely after the cure, and in chronic disease, the patient does not recover completely, as I told you about cancer. There is no loss of weight or feeling of tiredness afterward when you get a acute disease, like when you're completely cured. But there is often loss of weight or feeling of tiredness in chronic disease. There is short duration loss of work and efficiency. So, what happens when you're getting an acute disease? You don't feel that tired. You're able to work when you're completely cured. But then in a chronic disease, that is not the case. You normally feel tired and you're not that efficient to work properly. Now, let's see what are the causes of these diseases. First is the immediate cause. The immediate cause is that when the organisms that enter our body cause a disease are termed as an immediate cause. For example, virus, bacteria, protozoa. So the immediate cause of getting diseases is that when these pathogens enter our body, like viruses, bacteria, or protozoa. So actually, if you see, this chapter is very relatable in the current situation because we are in COVID-19, and COVID-19 is a virus. So you can say that we get a disease when there are pathogens in our body. This is the immediate cause. Now is the contributory cause. Means other than the pathogens, what are other causes you may get the diseases? For example, it can be dirty water, contaminated food, improper nourishment, and poor standard of living. When you are not provided the facilities or the basic needs which are good and which are edible, or you can say which are clean enough to be consumed by our body and which does not cause you diseases. But if you don't live in these standards of living, you may be prone to a disease. Now we'll see types of diseases. So basically, there are two types of diseases. We'll first learn about the infectious disease. These diseases, which spread due to infection by microorganisms, are called infectious diseases. When a disease causing organism enters a body, it causes infection. It multiplies and the growth in the body called host and microorganisms multiply in the host body. For example, tuberculosis, tetanus, common cold, AIDS, etc. So, infectious disease are basically those which are spread uh, by the microorganisms or pathogens like viruses, bacteria, protozoans, etc. So, what happens is that these disease-causing organisms or pathogens enters our body, and once it enters our body, it multiplies in a huge number. And for example, if a pathogen is entering a human body, the human body is called as a host for the pathogen. So, when it goes into a host body, any microorganisms get into a host body, it multiplies and it becomes all over your body if you don't prevent it or reduce the effect of the virus or microorganism. And examples of such diseases are tuberculosis, tetanus, cold, AIDS, etc. Next, we learn about the non-infectious diseases. So these disease which does not spread by contact between infected and healthy person through air and water is called non-infectious diseases. For example, cancer, genetic abnormalities, high blood pressure, etc. So I forgot to mention one thing. In infectious disease, it also spreads through contact. So non-infectious disease are basically just the opposite. It does not spread through contact, and that is why it's called as non-infectious disease. And examples are cancer, some abnormalities you have, high blood pressure, diabetes, etc., which does not spread through contact or which is not caused by pathogens. Now we learn about how does these infectious diseases spread. So we just have to learn about how infectious disease spread. As I told you, non-infectious disease are not communicable diseases. So we'll be not learning about that. There is no need for learning that. So first we learn some types of diseases and we learn what are such examples. So infectious diseases can be spread through different uh, different things. It can be air, water, or it can be different pathogens, etc. So first we learn about airborne diseases. Examples are common cold, influenza, measles, tuberculosis. Airborne diseases are those diseases which are spread through the air, like when a person sneezes and another person walks through, and if the other person who sneezed have some common cold or some viral infection, the other person who passes through will also get the disease. That is what airborne disease are. Waterborne diseases, cholera, typhoid, and hepatitis. So, waterborne diseases are those diseases when you drink contaminated water or you drink water in which those pathogens of diseases are there. Sexual diseases, AIDS, syphilis. Sexual diseases are those diseases um, which come to you by physical contact. Animal borne diseases, rabies. So, animal borne diseases are diseases that are caused by animal feces or animal waste, or you can say any pathogens that are present in the animal body. Now we learn about a very important thing called antibiotics. These are the chemicals, medicines, or drugs that block biochemical pathways important for bacteria. They are used for diseases caused by bacteria. Antibiotics do not work against viral diseases as viruses do not have their own biochemical mechanisms but depend upon that of the host. So, first we learn what antibiotic is. You must have all heard about antibiotics, which is a very common medicine that is prescribed by doctors. So, antibiotics are actually chemicals or drugs that help in blocking the important pathways through which a bacteria enters our body. So that's what an antibiotic does. But the thing is that antibiotics only work for bacteria. It does not work for viral infections. And the reason is that viruses does not have their own biochemical mechanisms. They depend upon that of the host. Now, most of you must be knowing, but there's a very fun fact about the virus. The virus is non-living when it's outside the host body. But when it enters a human body or a host body, as I told you in some previous slide, host is the person or the um, organism in which these pathogens enter. When the virus enters the host body, it becomes living and it starts multiplying and reproducing. So it depends on the host. If the host is not there, the virus do not live. So antibiotics does not work for viral infections. Now we learn about the principles of treatment. Make sure we'll be learning about what treatment can we give once you're caught with the disease to reduce the effect of the disease by taking medicines to bring down the effects of the disease like fever, pain, etc., and by taking complete rest to conserve the body's energy. So normally when you're affected with some disease, your body's energy goes down and you can take rest so that you can replace that energy and come back, and you can also take medicines to reduce the effect. Reducing the effect is only the basic thing we can do once you're caught with the disease. And note that this slide is about how to treat it once you're caught with the disease. This is not for prevention. Second, to kill the cause of the disease. So, by taking antibiotics or drugs to block or you can remove the pathogens inside your body. Principles of prevention. So, this is when you're not yet caught with the disease. So, how can you prevent the disease coming? First is a general method. There are two types of general methods. So, first we'll be learning about the general method. So, general method have two subtopics, which is preventing exposure against microbes and by boosting the immune system. So, first we learn about preventing exposure against microbes. So, how can we do that? For airborne microbes, we can prevent exposure by avoiding overcrowded places. For waterborne microbes, we can prevent exposure by not using contaminated water. By vector-borne infections, we can prevent exposure by providing a clean environment. So, airborne diseases that we had discussed in some previous slide, which spread through air. So, we can prevent that by going to crowded places. Waterborne, you should not drink contaminated water. And for vector-borne are basically those which are spread through insects. Vector is basically an insect. For example, mosquitoes, flies, etc. So you know, right? Mosquitoes can cause you disease like malaria. So we can prevent this by not setting an environment suitable for them, so that they don't come near your environment. Thus, you have to provide a clean environment. Next, by boosting the immune system. How can you boost the immune system? This is a very important topic in this chapter, so you can listen to this. Our immune system plays an important role in fighting against the microbes that enter our body. Strengthening the immune system can help preventing many diseases. So proper nourishment or healthy diet that includes all the necessary nutrients as well as vitamins and minerals necessary for better functioning of our immune system. So how can we boost the immune system? Basically, eat good food. That is the only way you can boost your immune system. If you eat good food and you have the perfect nutrients, carbohydrates, the all the proper you know chemicals you need in your body, you will be fit and your immune system will have a good fight against the diseases. So, next is the specific method. It involves the prevention method against a particular disease. It's done by immunization, which is the process of introducing a weakened pathogen inside of the body host to make his or her immune system to produce antibodies against that disease, so that the next time, even if the disease will strike the host's body with full vigor, the body will be able to protect itself with the help of these antibodies. All of you must have heard about immunization, or the injections you take in the hospitals. So basically, the specific method is about how this injections work, how the immunization work. So basically, I'll tell you how it works. So the injection that comes, or the fluid that comes in the injections, are basically having the dead pathogens of the uh, particular disease. So, for example, you're taking the vaccine for COVID-19. So, while they inject that injection to your body, the injection will have a fluid, right? You must have all seen. So, in the syringe. So, that fluid will have the dead pathogens of COVID-19. So, they are actually injecting the dead virus of COVID-19 into your body. Once it enters the body, our white blood cells will start reacting to it, and they will try preventing the diseases, and they will prevent the disease. But then what happens? They produce antibodies against that specific diseases. And next time, if you get that COVID-19, or if you come across that virus and gets into your body, then the memory cells of our body will recognize uh, the same virus, and then it will help in defending the virus, and thus our body will be able to protect ourselves with these antibodies and memory cells. So guys, this was it. It's a very small chapter, and as I told you, it's very relatable to the um, situation now. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any updates. So bye, biologists.